In her report released earlier this month, Mkhwebane found that the establishment of the SARS investigative unit was unlawful. She said Gordhan violated the constitution. As he was SARS commissioner at the time, Mkhwebane directed President Cyril Ramaphosa to take disciplinary action against Gordhan within 30 days. Both Mkhwebane and the EFF are opposing the urgent interdict application. Well, for more on this story, we cross to my colleague Sipho Stuurman, who's been covering the story for us. Sipho, what's the latest where you are?
Well, a very good afternoon to you and our viewers at home. Currently, the court is on a lunch adjournment, of course, following those proceedings earlier on by the legal representatives of both Minister Pravin Gordhan and Mkhwebane's legal representative have also took to the stand to try and defend her report. And perhaps if I can just step aside, you can also see that the economic freedom fighters, the leadership is also here. Of course, we know that they are party to these proceedings, and they've also been added to the list of council that's going to be making representations. But essentially what has happened since this morning is that Minister Pravin Gordhan's team has described this report, SARS report by Mkhwebane, as that one that is full of errors in law, and that it demonstrates bias towards the minister, and that it was an unfair process that did not follow due diligence. So essentially that's what the team of Pravin Gordhan is arguing, saying that they would want, of course, that urgent interdict to stop the implementation of remedial actions. And the result of that is because the report by Public Protector Mkhwebane had said that within 30 days the president needs to institute disciplinary proceedings against the minister. So of course we know that remedial actions are binding, so there has to be action on these remedial actions. Hence now we see on an urgent basis the minister is coming to court calling for the remedial actions implementation to be interdicted. Just before we adjourned for lunch, the team from Mkhwebane hit back, and essentially it seems that their big issue here, or bone of contention, is the language and tone of this application. And we see Advocate Thabane Masuku saying that the language used by Minister Gordhan in his application attacks the integrity of the Public Protector Busisiwe Mkhwebane, saying language such as that she is, lacks legal literacy, and that she is incompetent. He says such language cannot be allowed because there's no court that has so far yet proven her to be incompetent, in saying that for the public protector to be successful, she needs the support of senior government officials and state institutions.
Right. Okay, Sipho, so what's going to happen next? They're going to continue with arguments, and are we going to get a decision later in the day, since it's an urgent interdict?
Indeed, we're going to continue with arguments. Masuku, who's an advocate for the public protector, is going to be continuing with his line of argument. Of course, the first part of it was that, the public protector has been subjected to a lot of attacks that is undue for doing her job. But now what we also expect is that legal representatives from the EFF will also take the stand to argue that these remedial actions should be implemented, the remedial actions should be implemented with speed, and that there shouldn't be any delays. But we know that the president has also filed here a response to the court saying that he is in support of the public enterprises minister. He said he's not even sure if the president does have the power to discipline a minister, but of course there are powers to fire and to hire and dismiss one, but to discipline one, he says the court needs to iron that out. So those are some of the arguments we're having today.
Okay, Sipho, we're going to leave it there. Thank you very much for that report. My colleague there, Sipho Stuurman, reporting at that clash between the Minister of Public Enterprises and Busisiwe Mkhwebane. Mkhwebane's supporters have gathered outside court. For more on this, we cross to my colleague, Offensive Stimo. What's the mood where you are, Offensive?
Thank you very much. The mood is quite jovial. There's a lot of activity actually happening outside. It seems a lot of EFF supporters are anticipating that the outcome of today's urgent application will actually be in their favor. And the strong police contingent has actually been keeping a close watch as the EFF supporters were demonstrating outside here, showing support for Advocate Busisiwe Mkhwebane. Also in support of Busisiwe Mkhwebane is the Democracy in Action members who are actually assembling out here, who've made a statement to say ever since the advocate was actually appointed in October 2016, there's been detractors who've tried to tarnish her image, saying that she can never fit into the shoes of her predecessor. That's currently what's transpiring here outside. As you can hear behind me, there's still a lot of singing actually happening while they are waiting patiently for the outcome of what's happening. They are also hoping that they will be addressed by their leader, their commander-in-chief, that is Julius Malema. So we anticipate that they will come out and definitely address the supporters.
It's good to see that the mood is calm, but is there a good police presence there just in case?
Yes, absolutely. Ever since this morning, there's been a very strong police contingent. Ever since we arrived here, they were here even before the EFF supporters actually arrived. So I guess they were anticipating that there would be a group that would assemble here in support of the Public Enterprises Minister, Pravin Gordhan. But that wasn't the case. It was only the EFF supporters and the Democracy in Action supporters who are both in support of Busisiwe Mkhwebane. So there hasn't been any tensions outside. It hasn't really been an uphill battle for the police to calmly contain the situation out here outside the court. The Madiba Street has also been cordoned off. So
okay, all right, Offensive. Thank you very much for that report. My colleague there, Offensive Stimo Nzinga.